Fiduciary duties are a fundamental concept in both law and finance. They represent the highest standard of care one person can owe to another. Think of a fiduciary as a trusted guardian. This individual or entity has a legal and ethical obligation to act solely in the best interests of another party, known as the beneficiary or principal. This duty requires complete loyalty and good faith. The fiduciary must prioritize the beneficiary's interests above their own personal interests. This means avoiding any conflicts of interest that could compromise their judgment or lead to personal gain at the expense of the person they are serving. This principle is the cornerstone of many professional relationships. These duties are not merely suggestions, they are legally enforceable obligations. The core components of fiduciary responsibility include the duty of care and the duty of loyalty. The duty of care requires a fiduciary to act with the competence and diligence that a reasonably prudent person would exercise in similar circumstances. It means making informed decisions and conducting thorough research. The duty of loyalty, on the other hand, is even more stringent. It demands that the fiduciary act with unwavering faithfulness to the beneficiary, putting the beneficiary's financial well-being ahead of all other considerations, including their own profit or advantage. In the world of financial transactions, these duties are paramount. When one party entrusts their assets or financial affairs to another, they are in a vulnerable position. Fiduciary duties provide a powerful layer of protection for the entrusting party. For example, a trustee managing a trust fund, a corporate director overseeing a company, or an investment advisor managing a client's portfolio are all fiduciaries. They are bound by law to manage the assets entrusted to them with the utmost integrity. This legal framework ensures that power is not abused and that those in positions of trust are held accountable for their actions. Understanding this concept is crucial for anyone involved in financial agreements or asset management. It establishes a clear expectation of behavior and provides a legal remedy if that trust is broken. When a fiduciary fails to uphold these standards, it is called a breach of fiduciary duty, which can lead to significant legal and financial consequences for the fiduciary. This system is designed to maintain confidence and stability in financial markets. It assures individuals and entities that their interests will be protected when they place their financial future in the hands of a professional, making complex transactions possible. The private administrative process is a structured sequence of actions taken between two parties to formalize and execute an agreement, particularly one involving the transfer of assets or securities. It is a non-judicial, private method for ensuring that all terms of a contract are met with precision and transparency. This process functions like a detailed checklist, guiding both parties through the necessary steps to validate, document, and complete their transactions securely. It involves creating a clear paper trail of notices, acceptances, and verifications. This methodical approach is designed to prevent misunderstandings and confirm that each party fulfills their specific obligations as outlined in their initial agreement. The steps within this process are logical and sequential, building upon one another to create a solid record. It typically begins with one party issuing a formal notice or presentment to the other, clearly stating the terms and obligations. The receiving party then has an opportunity to respond either by accepting the terms, conditionally accepting them with proposed modifications, or disputing them with specific reasons. Each communication is carefully documented, creating an undeniable record of the entire negotiation and agreement process. This exchange of formal correspondence ensures that both sides are fully aware of their respective roles and responsibilities before any assets are actually moved or transferred. This administrative framework is particularly vital when dealing with security interests. A security interest is a legal claim on an asset that is used to secure a debt. The private administrative process provides the mechanism to properly establish, perfect, and enforce this claim. For instance, it ensures that the debtor formally acknowledges the debt and the collateral, and that the creditor properly records their interest. This process is private because it occurs directly between the parties involved, without the immediate need for court intervention. It empowers them to manage their own affairs according to the terms they have mutually agreed upon, fostering a sense of control and collaboration. Ultimately, the goal of this process is to achieve a final, undisputed agreement and a complete record of its execution. Once all notices have been sent and all responses have been received and reconciled, the process culminates in a final verification or certification. This final step confirms that the transaction is complete and that all conditions have been satisfied. This creates a self-executing contract where the documented steps provide the proof of performance. By following this structured path, parties can avoid future disputes about what was agreed upon, as the administrative record speaks for itself, providing clarity and certainty for everyone involved. When a living agent, acting as the payee, is involved in transferring value through bills of exchange, it's essential to understand how the principal amount and principal balance function, especially as the security interest is used to set off the principal amount of the initial bill. While the terms may sound similar, they actually represent different stages in the life of a negotiable instrument. The principal amount is the original sum specified on the bill of exchange, the face value that the living agent as payee is entitled to receive and which is set off by transferring a security interest. For example, if a bill of exchange is drawn for $100,000, that is the principal amount, the starting value of the obligation, which the living agent seeks to set off by transferring the security interest. This figure is static at the inception of the transaction, representing the full value the living agent as payee is responsible for offsetting or receiving. The principal balance, however, is dynamic and changes as the bill of exchange is honored through partial payments, endorsements, or the application of the security interest. It reflects the remaining amount still owed or to be received by the living agent at any given moment, after accounting for any set-off using the security interest. As payments are made, or as the bill is partially satisfied through the transfer of security interest, the principal balance decreases accordingly. This distinction is vital because the rights and obligations attached to the bill, such as the security interest or claim, are always tied to the outstanding principal balance, not the original amount. The private administrative process ensures that every transfer, payment or endorsement, including the transfer of security interest to set off the principal, is properly recorded, maintaining the integrity of the principal balance. Each payment or transfer by the living agent as payee is meticulously documented, reducing the principal balance and updating the record of obligation. This process enforces the correct transfer of rights and obligations through careful record-keeping and verification at every stage. When a payment is made on a bill of exchange, or when a security interest is transferred to set off the principal, the administrative process requires the issuing of a formal acknowledgement or updated statement to the living agent. This document serves as proof that the payment or set-off was received and properly applied, reducing the principal balance on the bill. This step is a key fiduciary act in the context of negotiable instruments. The party holding the bill, acting as a fiduciary, must accurately account for all payments and set-offs, adjusting the principal balance to ensure the living agent's obligations are correctly reflected. Failing to do so would misrepresent the true state of the obligation, and could breach the trust inherent in the bill of exchange process. Let's look at a simple example involving a living agent, acting as payee, and a bill of exchange. Suppose a living agent draws a bill of exchange to purchase a car, with the car serving as the security interest to set off the principal amount. The face value of the bill, the principal amount, represents the full purchase price, which the living agent, as payee, offsets by transferring the security interest in the car. Each payment made by the living agent, or each application of the security interest, is recorded, and the principal balance on the bill is reduced accordingly. The holder of the bill, acting as fiduciary, must update the records to show the new, lower principal balance. This ensures that the living agent's equity in the car increases with each payment or set-off, and the claim against the car diminishes. The administrative process validates that the claim on the asset is reduced in direct proportion to the payments or set-offs made by the living agent. This structure protects the living agent, as payee, from any overreaching claims and ensures the bill of exchange is settled fairly and transparently. Skipping the private administrative process and ignoring fiduciary duties introduces significant risks into any financial transaction. Without a clear, documented trail of communications and actions, the entire agreement becomes vulnerable to disputes and misunderstandings. One party might claim they never received a notice, or they might dispute the amount of a payment or the terms of the original agreement. In such cases, with no administrative record to provide clarity, resolving the issue can become a costly and time-consuming legal battle. This lack of process creates ambiguity, which can be exploited by a dishonest party, or simply lead to intractable disagreements between well-meaning but confused parties. The risks extend beyond simple disputes. If a creditor fails to properly document the reduction of a principal balance, they could improperly attempt to foreclose on a property or repossess an asset. The debtor would have a difficult time proving they have been making payments without a clear administrative record. Conversely, a debtor might falsely claim to have made payments, and without a process for verification, a creditor could struggle to enforce their legitimate security interest. This breakdown in procedure erodes the very foundation of the agreement, leaving both parties exposed to potential financial loss, legal challenges, and damage to their reputations. Following these steps, however, provides a powerful defense against such risks and builds a foundation of trust. When both parties engage in a transparent administrative process, they create a shared understanding and a mutually agreed-upon record of their transaction. This clarity minimizes the potential for conflict and demonstrates a commitment to fairness and accountability. The fiduciary, by diligently executing their duties within this framework, proves their reliability and integrity. This fosters confidence in the beneficiary, who can see tangible evidence that their interests are being protected at every stage of the process. Ultimately, the diligent application of fiduciary duties through private administrative processes is what allows for complex financial systems to function effectively and ethically. It is about more than just following rules. It is about building and maintaining trust, which is the most valuable currency in any financial relationship. When parties know that a transaction is governed by clear procedures and a high standard of care, they are more willing to engage in agreements that drive economic growth. This commitment to responsibility ensures that financial dealings are not a gamble, but a predictable and secure endeavor, strengthening the entire financial ecosystem for everyone involved.